This unauthorized event is a clear violation of bylaws, and you will be fined accordingly. According to these documents, we are in full compliance with all regulations.
Blue and red lights bounced off the wet asphalt as cold air hit my face and the smell of coffee leaked from a thermos on the curb. A rookie officer stood by his cruiser, ticket book open, while my neighbors hugged foil trays like shields. It was 9:00 p.m., the night our Cul De Sac was finally alive after a long winter, music low, grills humming. Then Karen marched out like a storm in beige, pointing at chalked hopscotch squares as if they were felonies. She rattled off violations to the officer. Noise. Unpermitted gathering. Blocking imaginary traffic. He apologized as he slipped paper under the lemonade table. Ticket 1. Then 2. By the time I said, "Officer, may I ask your badge number?" we were at ticket 5, and my stomach felt like I'd swallowed the ice from the cooler. Here's the fight in plain words: Karen ticketed my Cul De Sac block party 15 times, too bad I am the prosecutor. Not for the city, not for code enforcement, but still a prosecutor. I live by rules and proof. I waved the permit I had printed on May 3, 2024, the ink still smelling like the office copier, but Karen smiled like she'd already won. The HOA president kept glancing at her porch as if a valve lived there. "Ma'am, this is a permitted event," I said. She answered, "Not anymore," and pointed to a clause she made up from air. Neighbors backed away. Eyes dropped. The board's group chat ghosted me. Ticket 10 slid under the beanbag toss like a white flag. I tried to be decent first. I asked for a meeting the next morning at 9:30 a.m. The board ignored me. I brought muffins anyway. They kept the blinds closed. On the sidewalk, a dad whispered, "We can't cross her. She finds people for wind chimes." I called the management company. They said, "Please take it up with the board." The police sergeants sounded tired. "We respond to calls." He paused like he knew it smelled off. I kept my voice calm because I have to. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. Timeline item 1 April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. Timeline item 2 April 12 at 7:58 p.m. music complaint with no music. Timeline item 3 May 3 at 9:00 p.m. 15 tickets during permitted event. Each line a bead. Each bead a pattern. Anger is heat. Law is a fan. I drew a line in the sand and promised myself to use only proper channels. So I filed public records requests. Every call she placed. Every officer dispatch. Every HOA violation letter she authored or nudged. When the city clerk emailed back, the file landed with 63 pages. I read every single one with a cup of black coffee and a highlighter. The calls mapped like clockwork, always 10 minutes after my neighbors set out chairs, always with the same phrases, always hiding her involvement on the board. I found the missing permit notice too, marked received by the HOA on May 1, 2024, with a post-it that said we can still shut it down. I scheduled our next HOA open forum. I also flagged the pattern to the city attorney, not as a case I would touch, but as a citizen with evidence. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. The law is simple like that. The night of the meeting, the community room smelled like old carpet and printer toner. I set a small projector on a chair. Karen was already there in a blazer, lips tight. She opened with a speech about safety, about how she worries for children. I let her finish because silence can be a fuse. Then I clicked play on a 2-minute clip. First slide, the permit from city events, bright and legal. Next, a calendar with pins. Then the dispatch logs. At 9:04 p.m., call from a withheld number. At 9:07 p.m., call from the same tower. At 9:10 p.m., complaint of blocked emergency access with a photo of my grandma's folding chair parked on my driveway. I turned a page and read the note she wrote to the board manager, "Find them all, they will learn." My last slide was the labeled timeline. The room got so quiet you could hear the soda machine hum. I ended with a single sentence: "I am not here as a prosecutor, I am here as your neighbor, and I chose the lawful route because you deserve to see." Phones came out like flowers. A teen whispered, "This is wild," and started recording the screen. Someone laughed at the folding chair image. The clip of Karen measuring the chalk hopscotch with a ruler, captured by a doorbell cam at 8:53 p.m., got a gasp, then a wave of muffled snorts. Comments popped in the neighborhood app, little thumbs and popcorn emojis. A dad said, "Ma'am, kids live here." A mom added, "And we have a permit." The mood flipped. People weren't scared anymore. They were awake. They were irritated. And they were documenting. When Karen tried to shift it back, her voice sounded like metal scraping tile. "Enough," someone said. "We just want our street back." 2 days later, the authority flip arrived with the mail and a knock. A city inspector, polite and precise, asked Karen for access to the HOA records. The board president looked pale like paper and suddenly remembered his duty. The city attorney's letter cited call logs, misuse of HOA enforcement, and the deliberate disregard of a city-issued permit. Because I am a prosecutor, I had already filed a disclosure and stayed far away from any decisions. But the process rolled forward without me. The board voted to suspend Karen's enforcement role pending review. The police issued a warning about abusive calling. Fines that she had issued in the last 3 months were rescinded with checks cut back to families, one by one. The inspector's words were calm and heavy, "Ma'am, your actions created unnecessary dispatches and costs." She tried to argue policy, but policy doesn't erase facts. Now the Cul De Sac feels like a Cul De Sac again. Kids chalk suns. Grills hiss, and the air smells like pepper and sugar. On June 1st at 6:30 p.m., we held a smaller block party with chairs tucked to the curb, music at talk level, and a fresh permit tucked in a clear sleeve on the mailbox. A few officers stopped by, this time for lemonade. They smiled and waved. Karen's porch light stayed off. The board replaced her with a neighbor who brings brownies and reads rules out loud before he applies them. Consequences? She lost her committee seat for a year, paid administrative penalties to the city, and has to get approval before contacting dispatch about non-emergencies. I walked my grandma home that night under string lights and a soft breeze. She squeezed my hand and said, "Good job, counselor." I said, "Good job, neighbors. We did this the right way." Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.